Greetings, lovers of the written word and history. This episode is going to cover a few books that really are a dark path. Now, I have mentioned before that I'm trying to find more happy, enjoyable books that aren't going to leave me in a darker place than I was when I found them. But, I am limited in my access to books. I am outside of the United States. I'm in Vietnam, and that means I'm dependent on my Kindle and the PDF files that I can get from various sources, and I find that buying a book is actually paying for a book is just more than I can muster. So I wind up reading some books that I should intentionally avoid, one of which was The Road to Jonestown, about Jim Jones and the mass suicide / execution of 918 people in French Guiana. I thought I knew the story, but I clearly did not. It's one of those things that's, I was alive when it happened, but I was not really that aware of what was going on. And of course, in discussions since, the story has changed a lot to the point that some of the basic facts I was not aware of, I was in error on. And this book does a great job of getting into every detail, starting in Indiana, his marriage, and his relationships thereafter, and his descent really into madness. And I don't think it can be termed anything else. But the complicity of the people around him with that descent into madness is really strange. I have long had an interest in cultish behaviors because there are just some things that go against common sense. It seems like more people would have put a stop to it, but in real life it doesn't work that way. The bad guy tends to win for a long time. I still think I'm an optimist. I still think that the truth wins out in the end. But in the movies, it's an hour and a half. On television, it's 42 and a half minutes, and the bad guy is brought to justice. Well, this went on for a long time, and he even had a mentor in Father Divine. I was completely unaware of that story, but there is this love of socialism that is brought into it, and it becomes this collectivist thing where individuals' the individual's right sometimes to make bad decisions is just so far out there, and then the dogmatic adherence to whatever the leader guy says gets so out of control that something like this could happen. It's just tragic. And I happen to be reading at the same time The Unseen Hand, which is the conspiratorial view of history. And there is this idea that sometimes things happen organically and nobody's really in control, and that governments are reactionary. And then there is this other idea that sometimes people in power put things into place for their own benefits. And having recently read the Franklin cover-up and the Franklin scandal and the rabbit hole, all about what happened in Nebraska in the 80s with Boys Town and that whole thing, leads me to believe that people who aspire to positions of power often have this this innate deficiency. I don't know how to explain it except to say that everybody aspires to greater things, and I suppose we all think about being in more powerful positions than we are. But for those people for whom power is the end game, it's not the use of that power, it's not the things that one could do with that power, but it's the power itself. Some of those people are just so deeply flawed that it makes things like Pizzagate plausible. It makes things that seem completely outrageous to normal people who are sort of in the middle of the continuum. I think everybody out there has greatness in them. I think everybody out there should pursue their dreams. But I think that some people who, maybe it's by accident of birth, maybe it's just their organic makeup, and then they fall into those positions where they get the power that they aspire to. It is so dangerous. Anyway, that's my take on that book. I thought it was an outstanding read. It covered every detail. It gained momentum as it went on. and the final tragic story, leaves me less happy than when I found it. So I would suggest that you not read it unless you really, really want to go down that trail. Please do let me know what you think. Please do like and subscribe. Every click is appreciated.